Hey everyone, so in this video I'm just going to be going over a couple more things that I like to use Photoshop for when it comes to aerial video. So in the previous video I showed you a really easy way to get the file over to Photoshop, so I'm not going to go over that again. If you're interested in that and you haven't watched the color correction in Photoshop tutorial, go back and check that out. So I'm going to be demoing this clip right now because I don't like how distorted the horizon is in this case. You know, sometimes I do like the way the GoPro lens looks, but right now I don't want it to look, you know, like this distorted circular horizon. So there's a really easy way to get rid of that in Photoshop. So if we go over to Photoshop, I've already got the clip ready, and I showed you how to do that, like I said, in the other tutorial before this. But so I've converted it to a smart object already, and Adobe was nice enough to make a lens correction profile for the GoPro. It's pretty awesome. So if we go up here to filter, and you'll see there's the lens correction as a filter option. So if I click this, it's going to open this clip up, and we have to go over to over here in the search criteria section. You'll see camera make, and we need to choose GoPro. And then go ahead and choose whichever one yours is. Mine is the Hero 3 Black. And I'm going to say OK here. So if we see this filter over here, it's called lens correction. And we can see the before and afters. So this took out the distortion. I have a straight horizon now, and it just looks really good. So next is, I know I showed you how to do the color correction with the camera raw, but what's nice is you can also just apply, you know, a regular old adjustment layer. So an effect that I like to do sometimes is I like to do a black and white adjustment layer and then blend the two. So I've got this black and white adjustment layer created, and if I make sure that that's selected, then I can go and I can just choose overlay. And you know, this is when I'm trying to make a gorgeous, beautiful landscape. I probably wouldn't choose this, but maybe you're trying to make it look, you know, like a desolate landscape or a movie where, you know, it's a post-apocalyptic zombie movie or something like that. So that was really easy to do in Photoshop, and I know you could have done that a different way, but it's something that I'm used to. So it's nice that I can just really quickly bring this over to Photoshop and apply, you know, something like that. So another thing that I'll do sometimes is there's kind of a different sharpening technique that you might have heard of it in this blending a high pass layer with a regular layer. And I've done this on still photography for a while, but now sometimes I like to apply it to my video layers. So if you click this, we don't want to duplicate it, because if we duplicate it, we'll have two linked smart objects. What we want to do is we want to say new smart object via copy. And then the other thing we want to do is, if you look down in this timeline over here, you'll see that these clips are one after the other, and I actually want to stack them on top of each other. So to do that, I'm going to click the two layers and I'm going to drag them out of the video group. And then I'm just going to go ahead and delete this video group because I don't need it anymore. And now you'll see that these two clips are on different tracks, and I can stack them one on top of the other. So now that we have this set up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the top layer, and I'm going to go up to my filter menu, and I'm going to click other, and I'm going to click high pass. And it kind of looks weird at first, but if you click OK, and then you click this layer, make sure it's selected, and say overlay. And then if we zoom in, you can kind of see the sharpening applied. I'm going to toggle this on and off. So here's before and then after. It looks pretty good. And then another cool thing is if we double click this high pass filter, it'll open back the options, and I can increase this and decrease it and see what happens, you know, in real time. So that's kind of a cool effect. I really like the way, you know, that looks. It might be too stylized for some things, but for other purposes it's really cool. So I usually I don't go more than 5, but so that's one technique that I like to use. The last thing is, it's pretty simple, is if you remember in the basic workflow overview, I showed you how I use that letterbox, and I'm just going to show you a really easy way to make that. So I'm going to delete actually I'm just going to close this, and I'm going to say don't save, and I'm going to go File, New, and for our presets we'll choose Film and Video. And the one that I use is just the HD preset for 1920 by 1080. Make sure your background is set to transparent and say OK. And now I want to create, those black bars. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go adjustment layers, solid color. I'm going to set it to black. And now the aspect ratio, if you remember from the workflow overview in the beginning, that I like to use is 2.35 to 1. Now you can do some homework on that and find out the history behind it, but basically that's the standard for widescreen movies. So if you see a movie in widescreen, it's probably in 2.35 to 1. So the way that I'm going to simulate that is I'm going to click the marquee tool, and then I'm going to go Style Fixed Ratio. And you can see I've done this in the past, so it's ready to go. And now I'm just going to click and drag from left to right and fill up my entire screen. Once I let go, I can reposition this to center it. And now that it's centered, what I'm going to do is go over to your layers panel, click the mask on this fill layer, and then just go, if you have black as the foreground, and if you fill this mask with black, it'll fill inside this marquee and delete that section basically. So I'm going to go Edit, Fill, and I'm going to say foreground color, and I'm going to say OK. And it's there we go. We have our letterbox that we can put on 16 by 9 footage to make it look widescreen. And the happy accident of that is it will cover our rotors if they dip into frame at the top of our aerial video. And if you missed the workflow overview, I went into detail about why I do this and how to apply it. So, but this is just how to make it. So, anyways, I'm gonna just clear these guides and I'm basically done. This we did a workflow overview, and then we did some advanced techniques, and we color corrected in Photoshop and stabilized in After Effects and Premiere, and then we we reversed and did some slow motion, and basically there's just all sorts of things you can do to make your videos look really good, and I just love the way I can use After Effects and Premiere and Photoshop all in tandem to make really good aerial videos. So thanks for watching, and I hope this helped you. Thanks.